Good day, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion and your old pal Ja, and we are coming to you back from Nashville, Tennessee. And one of the last trips that I made here, I introduced you to my friend Shannon, who helped reconstruct a crushed everlasting gobstopper from the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But he had some really cool stuff in his house, and I said we would come back and do that another time. Today's the day. He's going to tell us about his life with Hee Haw. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. All right, Shannon, great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me back. We teased everyone a little bit last time with some of the items behind you. The corn stalks, I mean, let's be honest. How does someone get those? You told me that you used to work for Hee Haw, so I was like, we got to talk about how you got involved in Hee Haw, how you got this stuff and everything. So how did it all begin?
Well, I'm an opening act in the country music industry. I'm a ventriloquist, and so I opened for a lot of the country artists, and I worked a lot in television. One of the jobs I had in television was with the Hee Haw production. Hee Haw was the longest running syndicated television show in broadcast history, and it was started, it was inspired by Laugh-In, the Rowan and Martin Laugh-In, and they wanted sort of a country version of that. And it became very popular, and it was on for a long time. And one of the famous scenes in Hee Haw was that the guest celebrities would pop up out of a cornfield and tell jokes. Well, the last day of taping, it was pouring down rain at the Grand Ole Opry House. I walked out, the loading dock was filled with Hee Haw props, including the cornfield. So I went back into Sam Lovello, the producer. I said, what's going to happen to all the sets and everything? He said, those are going to the trash. It's like, it could not happen. It could not happen. As a collector, I could not allow that to happen. So I said, do you mind if I take it? He says, well, if you can beat the garbage trucks to it, have at it. So that's how I got the Hee Haw cornfield on the last day of work at the television studio.
Now, you not only have the corn stalk, you have, what's that beside it? You have the Grand Ole Opry microphone stand.
Uh-huh.
Where was that?
That was at the Grand Ole Opry, and this was one of their original designs, probably in the 80s. I guess they came out with this. So this was the iconic facade that was on every microphone stand on the Grand Ole Opry. They still have these. They've just kind of changed the style, but this was an original, and this is Porter Wagner's hat. Porter Wagner, I worked with him every day. He was a great friend. And that was one of the hats that he gave me. He was known for his rhinestones and all that, so he wore those every day.
And you showed me, I'll show everyone up here, you actually have a photo of him wearing that hat. Mm-hmm. And right next to that is Minnie Pearl's hat.
Yes, yes. Minnie Pearl was a dear friend, and it was so cool because I don't sing. I'm strictly a comedian. And so to have somebody else in the country music industry that was also a comedian that I could relate to and connect to, we were just the best of friends, and many wonderful years of memories. And she gave me that hat after working with her one time, and she signed the price tag.
Now, in what year did you start working on Hee Haw, and how old were you at that time?
I worked for the Opryland company for 11 years. The last 11 years the park was open, and it was like late 90s that they closed down. So I was 11 years prior to that, and I worked in all aspects of the entertainment business there. I worked conventions, I worked special events, I worked broadcast, I worked stage production. Performed my own show, all kinds of stuff. It was a fantastic place.
What were some of your favorite memories about working on the show?
You know, television's fun because you never knew who you were going to run into from day to day. I have so many memories. One time Buck Owens on a lunch break fixed Rod an entire plate of dinner or lunch right there on the spot. So when I walked into my dressing room, they were in their dressing room with the lights off waiting to surprise me with this. That was fun. Gosh, one time I went to the coffee station to get a cup of coffee. There's a guy popping popcorn next to me, and I look over and I go, Orville. It was Orville Redenbach.
No kidding.
He was on the show that day. It was just cool. You never knew who you were going to run into. Every day was fascinating.
Now, didn't you have a pretty cool moment with your dad?
Yeah. My dad, I took him backstage at the Grand Ole Opry House, and I introduced him to Johnny Russell, who was a Grand Ole Opry star, and he wrote a lot of hit songs like Buck Owens' Act Naturally. Even the Beatles recorded that. And my dad loved Johnny Russell, and he was so thrilled to meet Johnny Russell. And it's hard for a parent to be supportive to somebody going into show business. And my dad and I had a tense relationship when it came to entertainment stuff. He wasn't real supportive of that. But the funny thing happened after he met Johnny Russell that day backstage at the Opry, and something magical happened. It's like somehow it put a stamp of validity on my dream and what I was doing. And from that point on, my dad was totally supportive.
That had to be really cool too, because I mean, you knew that you were in a very specialized field. There aren't a billion ventriloquists out there, so for your dad to see that you were at the cream of the crop of something, Hee Haw, which was, in the country, like you said, in the country music world, that was probably the height of what you could do other than being on the Grand Ole Opry every week.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. And Hee Haw was filmed in the Grand Ole Opry House in Studio A. In fact, the Grand Ole Opry House itself is the world's largest broadcast studio. So we had a lot of production going on in all directions all the time. Being there, it was like being on a movie lot, because you had different departments. I would go by all the different departments every day to see what they were doing and everything. And it was just so many creative people together. It was just the most awesome place to be.
Were the stars approachable for you?
Very, very much so. Yeah, and in fact, they were very helpful, because anybody who was an Opryland entertainer, we worked hand in hand with a lot of stars. Sometimes a talent agency would book us with Bob Hope or Jay Leno, or we would have movie stars, television stars come in. There would be major network productions, all kinds of things going on there.
And what kind of material would you do for an audience if you were warming up for Hee Haw to not step on the toes of the show? What kind of things would you do?
We tried to keep the material basic to where whether there was a kid in the audience or grandma and grandpa, that the comedy was going to work for everybody. And so I didn't do a lot of country jokes as such. I just kind of played off of the audience a lot. The whole purpose of Rod and I being there was to warm up the audience. And
can you give us a demonstration?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think Rod might be in the room here. Let me go get him. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so here's Rod. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, this is Jordan. Jordan. Yeah, Jordan the Lion. Hello, Mr. the Lion. No, it's just Jordan. Jordan. Read my lips. I'm not going to do that. You're a ventriloquist. I don't trust you. Well, I was just going to say, this is Jordan the Lion. Oh, hey, is that the guy they watch on TV a lot? Yeah, he travels all over the world, does great videos. Oh, fantastic.
I'm wearing a hat like you. I know you probably didn't recognize me today.
Nah, he's cool. I like him. Good to see you, Jordan.
Hi, we were just talking about your days on Hee Haw. And how you used to entertain so many people before the show.
Oh, I love that. That was great to warm up the audience and all that stuff. There's a lot of fun.
Who were your favorite stars on Hee Haw?
Well, of course, on Tarshold and Lenny Pearl, because we worked a lot together. Yeah, Minnie Pearl was very nice, but they were all great. Remember Merle Haggard? Oh, yeah, Merle Haggard. See, the thing about Hee Haw and a lot of those shows, they filmed them out of sync. Yeah. So the cornfield scene likely done at a totally different time in something else. Right. So a lot of times you'd have to come in on a laugh cue. Yeah, so they'd tell you to look to the left, come in and laugh. And how'd Merle do? Well, Merle was better at singing, let's put it that way. Not a good laugh person without an actual joke behind it. Yes, in fact, it was something else to where most of us had to run out of the studio. Yes, his laughter was causing laughter on the entire crew, and so we all had to run out of the studio not to ruin the shot. Yeah, and then you left me there. I forgot about that. I was speechless. I know. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You're still bothered about that? Well, I'm okay. I'm over it. Okay, good.
Did either you two witness any practical jokers or anyone on the show that was more fun to be around? Do you look forward to when they were on the show?
Oh, they were all great. Yeah. And you know what? We never got to work with Archie Campbell, who was a fantastic comedian. But I guess he had everybody in stitches in the hallways and stuff. Yeah. But they were all characters. All of them. Yes. Roy Clark, he was a great guy. When we started working the show, Buck Owens was not there. But then later on, we opened for Buck Owens.
Yeah, that's when he got the lunch for me and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've told Jordan about that.
It was a delicious lunch. Glad he thought about me.
I know.
That was really nice.
I know. And you had sweet tea, too.
It's only Southern.
You got to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shannon, how many hats do you think Minnie wore? Did she wear a different hat for every show?
She would wear a hat in different eras of her career. This was the hat that she wore towards the end of her career. In fact, you can see in the picture over to the left in the corner, that's the hat she's wearing when we're performing with her. But I know there's one that's like this at the Smithsonian, and then there's several hats at the Hall of Fame. So I really don't know the exact number, but she had quite a few over her career.
There's that price tag. And there she is wearing that hat with both of you again.
I've been working with them for 49 years. I tell you, I'm an authority on dummies. It takes one to know one.
And there's Porter wearing the hat with both of you two. Great photo. That is so cool that you kept the cornstalk. I mean, just to think of how many historic movie props and everything are just kind of, that we find out later, have been destroyed and everything. This could have been one more of those. I know there's one row of them, at least, at the Country Music Hall of Fame, but other than that, I've never heard of them being anywhere else. So
yeah, and a lot of people, when they see this, they're surprised at how small it is. But this was for the close-ups when two celebrities usually would pop up out of the cornfield and tell a joke. So they really didn't need a whole wide section of corn. But when you're watching television, the audience tends to make up what they can't see. And so you envision that cornfield being huge, but it was really built wide enough just for two people to be filmed in front of.
do you think that they will ever bring something like that back? Now they seem to bring all that stuff. At least now we see so many like reboots. Will we see like a Luke Bryan or somebody like that in Hee Haw? Will somebody have the guts to bring the jokes back?
I don't know. I don't know if it will ever come back. It's in syndication now. You can buy the DVD sets of it and all that stuff. I just think it's one of those times, classic television. It was the right time and the right place for Hee Haw. I think that it kind of defined what people thought of Nashville, who had never been here. So I think that the new television show, the Nashville show, kind of showed people that that Nashville wasn't hay stacks and dogs sleeping out, in the porch. It wasn't all that redneck. It was kind of like a nice metropolis.
Yeah,
but Hee Haw for a while there did define how people thought about Nashville.
Well, I was going to say it had to help like people wanting to come and experience it for themselves, because when you watch it, Buck Owens does just come off as like maybe one of the happiest, nicest people you can ever see. So when you see these guys hosting and you see this happy crew, you just can't, and it's so funny. Like it really was well-written, goofy, corny jokes, like in the best possible way. Like you said, it was like laughing. I always thought of it kind of like the Carol Burnett show to me as well.
Yeah, and all of those shows like that, all those variety shows are such gems.
Look at that, an authentic piece of the Grand Ole Opry House. That's so cool. When Hee Haw came on, how old were you, Shannon?
Oh, gosh. I don't know the exact year that Hee Haw came on, but I was a kid.
Did you watch it? I mean, I guess that's what
yeah.
I'm asking. Were you inspired by it? So it was kind of like a dream for you to do something like this?
Yeah, I never imagined that I would be working on the show, but I watched it at home. My dad loved country music, so we watched a lot of the shows related to country music. But it was so cool to get to come to Nashville and actually get to be part of the production. It was pretty awesome.
How long do you think that you would have stuck with it had they not ended the show? Were you happy? Could you have done it for years and years?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would have done it. It was the best. It was the dream job. The whole experience at Opryland was the dream job.
So the last time I was here, I also saw this display that you have, and I had never heard of Blinkies, and you started to tell me about it, and I thought, it's so cool that David Arquette now he's bringing back Bozo, and it got me thinking about how regional some of these kids' entertainment shows were. I had never heard of Blinky, and you're in the process of single-handedly trying to save Blinky's legacy. We'll do a vlog about that in the future, but how was Blinky involved in your life?
Blinky was the first personality I ever watched on television, and I think Blinky really was the reason why I steered towards a career in the entertainment industry. He was the first entertainer I ever saw on television. I was 4 or 5 years old. Made a big impact. So he was in Denver what Bozo was to Chicago or many big cities with their local station affiliates. They all seemed to produce their own kid shows back in the early days of television, and Blinky was our superstar in Colorado.
And I don't want to spoil our next vlog that we do together about that, but let's just say you became friends with Blinky later on in life.
I did.
Thank you for having us out, Shannon. This was a blast to get to talk to you and see a little bit more of your collection. And as people can see behind you, we have a lot more to talk about in the future.
Thank you, Jordan.
All right, my friends, we're going to call it a day. Thank you, Shannon, for having us out here. This was a blast, and we'll be out here again in the future. Thank you all for watching. Have a great night, and goodbye.